Hey everyone, it's Jacqueline
And Adam.
for Pixie Dust PhD. Today we're going to discuss what improvements could be made to Magic Kingdom to make the guest experience a little bit more enjoyable. We're not doing big, bold ideas, we're not making whole entire new lands. We're hoping to keep project costs to a minimum. Obviously everything will cost some money, there would be some downtime, all that kind of stuff. But somewhat reasonable asks just to improve Magic Kingdom. So stay tuned if you want to hear our list. We would love to have your feedback on our ideas, plus anything you come up with too. Leave that in the comments down below. Thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. I think these types of videos where we're bouncing ideas off each other are super fun. And like I said, we'd love to bounce ideas with you in the comments too. If you do enjoy this, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. You can then ring the bell icon to receive notifications whenever we upload new videos. We'll be doing this in no particular order, and something tells me I probably have more ideas than Adam, so I'll be talking a bit more, but let's go ahead and get into it. My first one is pretty simple, and it's just put more water bottle fillers throughout the park. This extends to the entire resort, really. This is not just a Magic Kingdom only problem. Ideally, also, they're the kind of water bottle fillers that have the filter in them. That way, you're getting the Florida tap water, but then it gets filtered, so it tastes pretty good. Also, ideally, it's cold, but I'll just take water bottle fillers, period, honestly.
Yeah, maybe some free ice machines would be great.
I mean, that's asking a lot, I think.
In the Florida heat, maybe, yeah.
Another idea I have that I think will be unpopular with some, but wait for the reasoning, is I think you should just demolish Magic Carpets of Aladdin. So first, we already have spinner rides. There's 2 sets of Dumbo already, and there's Astro Orbiter. Magic Carpets is the same thing. It's just Aladdin themed instead. But mostly it's that area, if you're walking past Magic Carpets, if you're coming from the hub past Magic Carpets, that walkway is such a pinch point between Magic Carpets being in the way and Jungle Cruise crowds and stuff that if you just demolished it, got rid of it, I don't even care what you do with that area. I'd be fine with just tables and chairs with umbrellas for Dole Whips, or you could maybe bump out some of the theming and put a backstage area for character meet and greets to have Jasmine, Aladdin, Genie, and all of them meet for longer. But I just think it creates a huge crowding issue in that walkway between Carpets and Jungle Cruise. And if you got rid of it, I think it would be better.
So I think Disney's always going to be crowded, but you're right, that definitely is a notorious choke point. And I think something that could help, that they could easily do, is add better signage and direction and wayfinding.
I don't think it's people getting lost though. I think it's just that is a very thin walkway with a lot of people going back toward Jungle Cruise and Pirates.
Well, if people didn't get lost trying to figure out where to go, they wouldn't end up in a choke point. Because it definitely, both of those lands funnel you into that one cross section. And yeah, I think if people had a better idea of finding their own way navigating, maybe you wouldn't have to demolish Aladdin, but you know what? That's your list.
I mean, I'm just saying, I don't think it's a huge value add and it creates issues.
Yeah. Definitely, I would switch Astro Orbiter and Aladdin if I could.
You would get rid of Astro Orbiter instead?
Yeah.
Why?
Because it's same idea. It's in the middle of everything.
It doesn't cause crowding problems, though.
Yeah, well, I want to go on the People Mover, and they're getting in the way.
Okay. One of my more ambitious items in the list is that I would like them to put fountains in the castle moat. So we don't have fountains at Walt Disney World, specifically in Magic Kingdom. There is a moat in the castle, there's no fountains in the moat. So there's no water spray effects or anything. I'm pretty sure Disneyland Resort has fountains in their moat, and Disneyland Paris definitely does. And while we were in Paris, the fountains added a lot of ambience, not only to the nighttime spectacular, but sometimes they would just have them go off for 2 minutes during the day, and it was really awesome. And especially we were there in August, so it created a little bit of that mist breeze that was cooling, and it was just a fun thing. And I don't think this will ever happen because it's obviously a construction project and there's no clear return on investment. I don't think you can't really say oh, we're gonna make money from doing this. But I just don't understand, when they built it, why weren't there fountains put into the castle moat? Yeah. Sticking with the castle theme, I also think this will be unpopular with some of you, but I would like there to be fewer castle stage shows, actually. So they, many times throughout the day, have castle stage show. I think the morning welcome show should always stay, but then usually between, 10 and 4 or something every couple of hours, there's a stage show. And I'm not saying get rid of them all. I just don't think they need to be happening at that high of a frequency. And so there's two reasons here. One, I don't think it really sucks in crowds. Every time I see it happening, there's like a very small crowd in the very front of that like hub ring in front of the castle watching. But it's not like people go out of their way to be like, yes, I'm going to stand here for 30 to 40 minutes, and it's not this huge crowd that it's not sucking crowds. So
it's not a parade.
Right, it's not the parade. People don't seem to value it like a parade or like the fireworks, which is fine and makes sense. But so you're not really, sucking crowds in and taking those people out of other attractions or walkways or eateries, etc. But mostly for me is when you have the castle stage shows, you can't walk through the castle. They block it off. Reasonably so, obviously because they have to, but like I actually think being able to walk through the castle is a really big part of going to Magic Kingdom, and it's just so difficult to find the time to do it with all of the castle stage shows.
Yeah, one of my favorite parts about going to a theme park is just how intentional everything is in terms of the theming and how you move into different lands, and kind of like when you go into Star Wars land, there's that big transition cave or what have you, or they take you down a walkway and then there's a Star Cruiser ship or whatever. Here it's like going to the fantasy land, going to the castle, seeing the mosaics. It's like part of the experience, and just kind of walking around the moat is very anticlimactic.
I agree.
So one thing on my list would be if there's a character interaction, I would always want there to be a PhotoPass person there.
I had that on my list too.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Tell me more about that, Jacqueline.
I just think there should be PhotoPass cast members at all of the character meet and greets, especially the set ones that are like indoors and there's a queue. Many of them have lightning lane, all that stuff. If a character is meeting for 20 minutes outside, like randomly, fine. But Mickey Mouse. But yeah, your set Mickey Mouse meet and greet, Princess Fairy Tale Hall. I would extend this back to Pete's Silly Sideshow. They should have PhotoPass cast members.
When it comes to PhotoPass, it's just really important that if you're planning your day around the character meet and greet, and you should go in with the expectation that, sure, you're going to take some pictures on your phone, but you also want to, or camera, you want to have that option to have a professional photo done by someone with a really nice camera. And I feel like that you never really know what you're going to get, but if they made it just a policy that, hey, we're going to pay these people to be out there, and that they're going to have someone who knows what they're doing, taking pictures of the characters, even if it's a set one or outside where it's just a random character, it just makes the experience so much better, knowing that you got all your boxes checked.
I definitely understand that paying more PhotoPass cast members is going to cost money. I also think Memory Maker brings in a lot of money for the company. So, and also the premise of this video is improving the guest experience. We're kind of ignoring some of the business aspects here, but yeah, I just think you should know that there's going to be PhotoPass cast members there. And sometimes the app will tell you, you can like toggle between characters and PhotoPass.
It's just not easy, right?
But yeah, it's not easy, and
you never really know.
You never really know, and
Yeah.
I think the expectation for me is there should be PhotoPass cast members there, especially at these bigger marquee meet and greets that you're selling Genie Plus for.
Mickey Mouse is kind of a big deal, right?
A little bit.
Okay.
The big cheese. One on my list that I think is highly unrealistic and is very selfish, if we're being honest, is I just want them to move Starbucks off Main Street. You can keep Starbucks in the park, but at that line, especially in the morning, is just like people standing around, sometimes respectfully, sometimes being very annoying and in the way. And I understand why people are in that line. I'm not saying get rid of Starbucks. I just think move it off Main Street. It would just, again, for like crowding issues and pinch points, would be very helpful.
So this is kind of more of a wild take, but I would love to see Main Street no longer be 1950s nostalgia, but let's go 1990s nostalgia, which means install a second Starbucks on Main Street to alleviate some of those choke points. Maybe move Casey's Corner or something. I don't know.
Wow. People are not going to be happy about that.
Well, listen, I feel like that 1950s nostalgia had its time.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do something that is also nostalgic for today, which would be the 90s. Yeah, I don't know exactly. They would have to rescrim some stuff. They do it in steps, but instead of that old-fashioned fire department, just get a robot dog or something.
Oh my god, okay.
Yeah, second Starbucks. Yeah.
I'm not for 2 Starbucks on Main Street. I don't even want 1 Starbucks on Main Street.
Gotta get your coffee somehow.
Yeah, but why does it have to be on Main Street? That's my whole point. Go, like, put it back, put the Starbucks back next to, like, Cheshire Cafe or something.
Well, that's another conversation.
Yeah, fine. Probably the biggest one on my list that I really don't think is going to happen is I would like them to connect Big Thunder Mountain, make a walkway between Big Thunder and either like Haunted Mansion or the Small World area of Fantasyland. When you get back to Big Thunder, it's just such a dead end.
Right.
And I hate it. And I think for, again, crowd flow and just like ease of us navigating the parks, like, wouldn't it be nice if you could just like keep walking and get to Haunted Mansion or Fantasyland or something like?
Yeah, the only option right now is you take the train all the way towards like the Kids Land, right? So like there's the train station by formerly Splash Mountain, right?
I don't know where the train stops. We haven't been on it since like 2017.
But yeah, you're absolutely right. With the flow, it's like I want to keep going around the moat, the circle that the Mark Twain ship goes on.
Right, but that's obviously, that would be a huge construction project. And again, unless they were going to build that so that some of it could like spike off into a new land, and
right.
I don't think
like
it's going to happen.
Like in Disneyland where they did that with like Star Wars.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Speaking of characters again, I would like to see them bring back Talking Mickey during the meet and greet. So I don't know exactly when he was retired or why they decided to go back to non-Talking Mickey, but when we went, I think in 2017, it was like Meet Mickey Magician, which they still do sometimes, I think. It's been like 50th Mickey for a while, and now maybe it's 100th Mickey, I'm not sure. But when they're not celebrating something, I do think the standard default is still Magician Mickey. And that's like what the area is themed to. But yeah, he taught, like you could talk to him, and we like played a card trick or something. And like talking to Mickey was really cool. And yeah, now he doesn't talk, and I don't know why. And I just feel like you could, like, obviously the technology's there.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Talking Mickey. It was fun.
Yeah, I miss Talking Mickey.
So this may require a little bit of construction, but just more pedestrian-friendly walkways, reducing choke points throughout the park. I think there's a lot of, I think they try and squeeze every bit of retail location to sell merch, even when it like makes no sense to why this building could be here. Like move a few buildings around, create more walkways, better flow between the lands. I just really think that even though it's always going to be busy in Disney World, Magic Kingdom, I feel like that with a couple of tweaks, they could definitely make it more pedestrian friendly. There's been so many times where we're trying to make our fast pass or lightning lane, I guess, and there's 3 strollers taking up the entire sidewalk, and they're not even double wides.
Yeah, you can tell it was built a while ago when they weren't anticipating the level of crowds that they get now, and I totally understand that. Back in 1960s when they were developing this, how could they imagine what it would grow into? And that's fine, but to Adam's point, it's kind of like when freeways were built forever ago and they're not servicing the community anymore, they like add lanes, right? So right. I do think it's, we're not structural engineers. We don't have like the park blueprints or anything. I don't know that we could provide specifics, but it would be helpful, I think, if they took a look and saw maybe what they could do to make the flow a little better. Yeah,
even just like being able to move inside between shops so you're not competing with the outside crowd. So like on Main Street, if you could, I know you can kind of do this right now, but if you could enter the shop at the foot of Main Street on both sides and then be able to walk all the way through to the hub, or create another lane or underground tunnel, I really don't care. It's pretty insane just how impossible it is during peak times, on peak days, you're squeezed in like sardines. And I feel like there's got to be some way where they can move some things around to just make it breathable.
Yeah, Disneyland Paris and Disneyland Park, so their version of Magic Kingdom basically. When you enter, you can walk up Main Street straight up to the castle if you want, but on the side they have what they call arcades, and there are these 2 covered areas, and you walk through them, and they're temperature controlled, which is really nice. But it's just then there's 3 clear paths from the entrance all the way up to basically the back of the hub. And the arcades, I think, are especially nice because they're really not crowded. I don't know if it's because people don't want to go in there or, they just want to walk up Main Street, whatever. the thing, when we were there with the arcades, I don't know if this is always true, is they don't really serve any purpose other than a throughway. It's not like you're going to the shops from the arcade. So it really was like a dedicated extra lane to get people, disperse crowds up to where they want to go. And the shops on the left side of Main Street in Disney World at Magic Kingdom kind of do that, although navigating through the shops is also really difficult often with the crowds. So yeah, I just thought the Disneyland Paris system was really nice for funneling people, and we don't have anything like that. Imagining how you would redo it is tricky. But yeah, I think it'd be interesting if Disney put some thought into that.
So the last soapbox for me on crowd control would be when you enter the park in the morning, there's always that mad rush, that mad dash of people trying to trip over each other to get first in line for Mine Train. I feel like that they should just give you a ticket, give you a number or something, where if you can like tap your magic band at like a certain point, and then you get your spot in line for whatever ride you want to do. I know that's going to be technologically really difficult, but I would love to not get injured at 8:30 in the morning, 9 a.m. trying to get on the first ride of the day because a double wide stroller just clipped me.
If you do the proper rope drop, the cast members do their best, but it is just a lot of people and pretty intense people, I would say.
Yeah, for rope
in terms of like, I think once you make your way into the park in the morning, if you're there early enough, like well before rope drop, you make your way into the park, they tell you, okay, like you can go here if you want to wait for Fantasyland, you can go here if you want to wait for Tomorrowland. That's all fine and people are calm enough then, but like when the rope drops and when you're allowed to start walking back into that land, it is a little bit dangerous, I think. There's been many incidents I've seen and felt myself of like, this is going poorly for some people. So yeah, if there was a way to even just like get the marquee ride people out of that. So for example, when we rope drop Magic Kingdom, we're almost never going straight to Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, because I personally think it's a waste of time, but you do you. But so if you had like when you're corralling everyone before rope drops, if you want to go to Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, come to this side and we'll boop your magic band or give you a wristband or something in number order or something like that. And then everyone else can just like peacefully walk like a normal person instead of be part of the stampede. I do think there's a way to probably make it improved for safety and stress levels. And also I think it's probably got to be pretty stressful for the cast members trying to manage that.
Said it way better than I did.
All right, I still have a few more. One I think is pretty simple, which is just like improve quick service. I understand that you need to sell chicken nuggets and french fries and burgers and all that kind of stuff. I get it. People are picky eaters. You need to cater to the masses. But what if there was just like one or two quick service places that were a little more inventive, a little better? You can get pretty good table service meals there. And I would say, Skipper Canteen has some fairly creative food. I know Skipper Canteen is not the most popular sit-down restaurant at Magic Kingdom. So, some would say that's a failed experiment. It's obviously still making money because it's open. So just give us a few better quick service food options. Tortuga Tavern, for example, I think is actually a fairly big space and they tend to serve very basic stuff and they're not open a ton. So what if you just like reimagine that into something that's more of a quick service Skipper Canteen situation?
I think it's pretty easy to do like a quick service, really good barbecue place. And that's just something that probably do over by Big Thunder Mountain pretty easily.
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
And what's stopping them from bringing the churros? Seriously.
There are churros. The churros just are not as good as at Disneyland.
Exactly. What's stopping them?
I don't know, man.
It's not the Florida water.
But yeah, overall, I feel like when we want to eat quick service and we're having a Magic Kingdom day, we literally just leave Magic Kingdom to eat quick service, which is obviously not ideal. And I think could be pretty easily fixed. Like Adam was saying, a barbecue place, or I think it wouldn't be that hard to just sort of recreate Captain Cook's, but inside of Magic Kingdom. Like, it would save us a lot of time, and also I think, again, a way you could perhaps make more money, so everybody wins. Now, my last few are all in the bucket of I love Tomorrowland, but it has not been loved, and it needs a lot of work. So first things first, now that Toy Story Land exists over at Walt Disney World, I personally really don't like that Toy Story is so heavily featured in Tomorrowland. So get rid of those character meet and greets. I don't think they belong there. I don't know that they do them too often anymore, but I do sometimes still see like Buzz popping up on the internet. And I'm like, what is he doing here? He has his whole land.
Yeah.
And then for the Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger spin, like laser blaster ride, I think just retheme it. I think it could be really cool as like a WALL-E ride or Meet the Robinsons. Like there's no reason it needs to be Buzz Lightyear. And honestly, I don't really like the laser blaster thing. I don't think the technology is very good anymore. So I'm not saying get rid of the ride. I just think update it. And especially, you know, WALL-E and Meet the Robinsons have like no representation in the park. So this is a pretty easy slot for me.
Yeah, Tomorrowland was Tomorrowland of the 1970s, right? Or something. It's just very, needs some love. And like, I think you said it really well. Like there are a lot of repeat items of certain franchises. And if you've got your own land, put it over there, right?
Toy Story Mania is better than Buzz Lightyear, Blaster, whatever, Space Ranger Spin. Like, Toy Story Mania exists. It's great. Love it. So why do we need Buzz Lightyear's Laser Blast in Magic Kingdom? Keeping with the Tomorrowland theme and also with rides, Stitch's Great Escape is just sitting there totally unused. And I don't have like the best idea of all time on what to use it for, but it could be another ride again, WALL-E, Meet the Robinsons, another property we haven't seen. Or, you know, it used to be a Stitch meet and greet at least, and now that's just totally closed down. Like that's a big space that they could be utilizing. And instead of doing that, they're just like, nope, it's just a building that exists. I'm like, come on. And my last thing overall, as well as in the Tomorrowland theme, is update the Speedway so that those cars are electric because the fumes are horrible.
I hold my nose every time we walk by it. We're downwind.
Personally like the Speedway, but I get that I'm an adult and I can drive a car. I totally see the appeal for kids, so I'm not saying get rid of the Speedway, but can it just be a little more friendly to everyone experiencing the park? I find like the sensory issue of the smells to be really overwhelming and disgusting, and I know I'm not the only person, so keep the Speedway, just make it electric, and Tomorrowland would be a lot better if we just paid a little more attention to it. Those were some of the ideas that we came up with to improve the guest experience at Magic Kingdom. Again, some of them are more realistic than others.
Yeah.
Some of them are definitely never happening. I think some of them could happen though. I mean, we'll have to see, you know, you never know what the future of the parks is, but we were trying to keep it somewhat realistic. Obviously, you know, you could add entire lands, all these things, but you know, just put some fountains in the castle moat, and I think everyone would be really happy about that.
Yeah, less fumes and exhaust from the Speedway.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Like we said before, if you have ideas, we'd love to hear those in the comments down below. And also, we'd like to hear your reaction to our ideas. But don't blame me for Adam's weird Main Street idea, okay? I had nothing to do with that. So, you know, let's be civil. The best place to chat is definitely in the comments down below on YouTube, but if you want to chat outside of YouTube, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at PixieDustPhD. We hope the rest of your day is magical, and we'll see you real soon.
Bye!